So welcome to 3T. We're a 57-year-old Italian company, and from its birth it's always been focused on trying to find new ways, breaking the mold of what's possible, and we try to do that with every part we make, whether it's a handlebar or a frame. So this is the new 3T Strada. What we did here is just imagine what a road bike should look like 5 years from now. And so it's an aero road bike, but it actually starts with what we think is the most important, which is the tire. We really believe in bigger tires for more comfort. Whether you're an amateur or a professional, more comfort is always a plus. But until now, if you had a bigger tire, aerodynamically that wasn't really that good. But that's kind of logical if you put this big tire with a frame and wheels and everything that's designed for small tires. So we started with the tire and designed the aerodynamics of the whole frame around that. So you'll see it's a perfect match with the shape and also the width of the down tube, and also in the rear it all aerodynamically fits very well. And that really gives us a lot of advantages and make sure that even with the bigger tire we're very fast and aerodynamic. The other part is that when you start to look at what's never been touched in aerodynamic design for bikes, it's really the drivetrain. It hasn't changed in the last 20 years. So what we did to improve things there is that the bottom bracket area is very important aerodynamically, because there's a lot going on. You have the frame, you normally have a front derailleur, you have two rings, you have the crank, you have a bottle, maybe you have two. And so it's quite messy, and the airflow that comes off of your front wheel and onto the frame, there's not a lot of space for this air to flow through here, and the less air can flow through on the inside, the more it has to go on the outside, which aerodynamically is not very good. So what we do is very simple, aerodynamically speaking. We just go to the one-by system, because if you get rid of that front derailleur that blocks everything here and the inner chainring, you just have more space for the air to flow through. So aerodynamically, that's a no-brainer. The question is just, how do you do that with your drivetrain? But really, if you have an 1136 on the back here as a cassette, like we have here, you have the same range as you have on a normal 2x system. If you have a compact crank in the front with, say, 50-34 in the rings, in the rear you have an 1128 cassette, that's the same range as you get here with the one cassette that's 1136. So range-wise, you're not giving up anything. You have the same smallest gear, you have the same biggest gear. The only small disadvantage we still have with this cassette is that the steps at the beginning are a little bit bigger. The first couple cogs, it's always two teeth jumps. So it goes 11, 13, 15, 17. And you'd like the first ones to be a single tooth jump. So that's why we are now working, and we'll have that available to consumers in the fall, our own cassette. And so it has that big range, but the first 5 cogs are all one-tooth steps. So you really have the best of both worlds. You have the small steps and you have the big range. And so we start out with this cassette, which is fine. Your cassette you need to replace when it wears out anyway. So then when the consumer gets a new cassette, they can get our new solution, which really we think removes any disadvantage that one bike might have, and you only are left with all the advantages. So it's lighter, it's easier to shift, it's more aerodynamic, and the whole bike is optimized for those bigger tires. So I think the other thing is that it's 100% optimized for disc brake. So this is not a frame where we say, oh, it comes in a rim brake version and a disc brake version. No, everything is optimized for disc brake. So when you look, for example, at the crown, you see how small the crown is. You couldn't do that if it was also a rim brake version, because then you need a much bigger crown, because you're going to drill a hole through it and you're going to put a brake there. And the same on this side, right? Because we know it's going to be only disc brake. So we can make a bit of a funny shape that you wouldn't make in a rim brake fork. But it means that we can completely integrate the adapter for the flat mount brake. So only the brake itself is sticking out, because you need the cooling and everything. But the adapter is countersunk in, and you have this link, which is really the most direct way to connect everything, because you have your axle, you have the first bolt from your brake, you have the second bolt, and then you go straight to the crown. So in the whole shape and everything, aerodynamically and also stiffness-wise, this is the most direct route you can choose. And so this particular bike is actually Magnus Bakstad's bike. He rode it together with his daughter Eleanor this week from Roubaix via Flanders and Flèche Wallonne through the Alps, like Alpe d'Huez and Galibier and everything, and also the Stelvio, Gavia to here to Kronplatz. And he arrived yesterday doing the time trial, the Giro time trial from the other side of Kronplatz. So, and he did that whole route, all those different terrains, always with the same tire, with the same drivetrain, and so you can use it everywhere. And that's basically what you get here, right? You get the tire comfort from Paris-Roubaix, but you get the full aerodynamics that you want elsewhere. And so you can have aerodynamics everywhere, and you can have Paris-Roubaix comfort everywhere. You don't have to choose anymore.